Oh, we're live. Hello. Hello and welcome. Welcome to our new little docu-series. This is followed on from my drive times that I used to do. So if anyone used to watch Drive Time, hopefully this is a nice little addition to what used to happen there. But in Drive Time, we used to have a lovely little saying, "Nil, nil, 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 Drive Time." So I don't think we're going to do that every single time for this, but I guess only time will tell. So my name's Andy Hooper. I'm the CEO here at GE Capital, Global Commerce Experts and Expandly. And what I would love to do is I want to take you on a journey over the next 10 weeks about what we're doing here, how we're doing it, some of the highs, some of the lows, and all the different things that have come up during the process. And what I really want to focus on is the acquisition we've acquired of Expandly, which is an amazing piece of software. And over the next 10 weeks, I want to guide you through an entrepreneur's view, if you like, of acquiring a business, taking it over, what that process looks like, how we come to acquire it in the first place, along with the highs and lows of taking on a piece of software that may or may not be exactly what we want, or all those different things. And then to go through all the other things about what's worked, what hasn't, the process we go through to acquire a business, and what we do post-acquisition, and what we then do to change it, evaluate it, and then move forwards. Now, open book, in 10 weeks' time, we're going to be relaunching Expandly to Expandly 2.0. And I'm really, really excited that that's going to be happening. We will be doing a waiting list, so make sure you get onto the waiting list if you want to register for Expandly 2.0. But more to come on that, more to come. But so today what we're going to talk about is why and how we ended up acquiring Expandly, how we got to that in the first place, and what we're looking to do as an overview and the lessons from the acquisition phase. So thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully this will be something you can learn from, something you can listen to, and something you'll be able to put into practice in your own business journey. So let me take you right back to 2 years ago, 18 months ago, when we're organically growing, and we could see that our organic growth was slowing. So many of you will know that I've got a podcast called Business Insider Secrets, which I started during lockdown. And on that podcast, I interviewed someone called Darren Jacobs, who talked to us about how he was acquiring businesses to grow. Now, this was a bit of an eye-opener to me, because what Darren talked about was, instead of growing and putting a sales team in place to grow and sell to new clients, you go and buy a business that's already got your clients and add that into the group. I was pretty fascinated by this approach. So that was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I can't remember when the exact podcast was, but you can go and see that on YouTube and on all your favorite podcast channels. And it was really interesting to learn what process someone had gone through, how that had worked, and what you need to do to make that work. So about 6 months later, when I was looking at how do we scale and grow the business, I started thinking about acquisitions and what that looked like. And I think the tip and golden rule for me here is always about educating yourself and learning about what other people are doing in business. Because what other people are doing in business is really, really important. Stand by 1 second. I bet that sounds infinitely better. I'm guessing that sounds infinitely better. It turns out the microphone I'm using wasn't plugged in. So there we go. But given this is the first one, we're going to allow the odd little slip up. So hopefully you can hear me a lot better. And hopefully that's going to provide a much better voice experience. So where was I? So the education piece here for me was about constantly educating myself. Now, I started my podcast really to learn what other people are doing. Because if you think about, I say, hey, you're a business owner, can we go to the pub or the bar? And I'm going to ask you a million questions about how you started your business and the highs and lows. The chances are you're going to think that's a little bit weird. But if you turn that on its head and say, hey, I've got a podcast, why don't you come and join me and share your experiences? Instantly, most people are like, well, yeah, thanks very much for inviting me. I'd be privileged to come on. So much more to come on that this year. We're aiming to do 26 podcasts this year. So one every other week. We've done 3 so far, so they'll be dropping very soon. So as I talked about, this is this is an entrepreneur's journey that I want to guide you through over the next 10 weeks. And so I will go off topic slightly and I will talk about different things. But for me, that's really, really key, because you'll understand and get to know me a little bit. I can't plug in a USB microphone and so on. So we decided that we wanted to start growing by acquisition. We wanted to start thinking about how do we acquire more customers. And the things that we were looking for was, how do we gain new services that we don't do? How do we gain new customers that we don't do? And how do we scale and grow the business from there? So Global E-commerce Experts, which is the core part of the business, has many different sides to it. We've got compliance, logistics, and account management at the time. We've actually completely dialed down the account management and replaced that with Expandly, which is listing management at the moment. So giving that omni-channel approach, online distribution. So Global E-commerce Experts, compliance, logistics, online distribution as we speak today. But 18 months ago, 2 years ago, we were going through a process of what that looked like. How do we didn't have a shipping business, so we added a shipping business in. We did a joint venture, then acquired the whole piece. So we then acquired some other little bits here and there, but really we started thinking about how do we really scale and grow. So what we started doing is, where are our ideal acquisitions going to come from? So when you start thinking about how you're going to grow by that, the first thing to think is, well, who's upstream or downstream of our services that's already working with our clients? So for us, we're on a lot of marketplace preferred networks, promotions partners, because marketplaces fundamentally believe that the service we offer makes life very, very easy for sellers. So they quite often refer people to us to say, hey, you want to expand, talk to these guys. So with that in mind, what happened was that we were already on these partner programs. So what we did is we just looked at all the partner programs and started targeting the people that were already on those programs. So we started approaching them, and we've approached people in different ways. So we've approached them via LinkedIn, we've sent letters, we have cold called people, we've done lots of different things over the time. But one that came back was a company called Expandly. So we're finally going to get onto the journey so far with Expandly, aren't we? So I apologize. So Expandly, for me, approached us and said, hey, yep, we're interested in selling. And the process we then go through is we start thinking about, okay, how are we going to do that? So the first thing we do is we have a discovery call. So we had a discovery call with the team at Expandly, and we started talking about what they currently did, how it worked, how it operated with an overview, right? I always like the discovery call to be, it's about them and about us. So if someone wants to sell their business, they want to sell the business, they want to know who they're selling it to. They want to get an understanding and know what that looks like. So the discovery call is a two-way process. It's us sussing them out. Is the business right for us? But at the same time, it's about them sussing us out and making sure we're the right fit and to the right custodians of their business to take it forwards. So we did this, and we had the initial discovery call. And at that point, we both agreed that there was some merit in talking further. So what we started doing then is we then signed some non-disclosure agreements. We then put some things in place to start getting some accounts and things like that. And what we did is we get the accounts and we start looking at the data and we start thinking about how that could look like for us. Now, Expandly 1.0, what we'll call at the moment, as it is today, is a listing management tool in its core. It gives you the ability to have a central point of resource for your stock and then sell that on multiple marketplaces to be able to control the stock in one location. Now, it does a whole load of other things on top of that, but that's one of the core things that it does. And when we looked at our services, compliance, logistics, and online distribution, it fitted really, really nicely into that piece. So for us, it was a natural piece of what we were doing. Secondly, it was software. We are not a software business. We are a service business. Now, in a few weeks' time, we'll talk about the transition we're going to go through from being a service business to a technology business to a software business. I guess I won't wear a shirt and tie anymore. I'll be in jeans and a t-shirt, I guess. But we'll see, I guess. I don't know why I said I guess a lot. Anyway, now, so we found this acquisition. We're going through the process to learn more. And what was coming apparent during the expanded process was that, the business had received a lot of funding in the past. It had been run very, very well. The software was very, very capable, but there are a few things that it needed to solve to be to the next step. The current funders, is my understanding, that they didn't want to put any more cash in, and that actually the next logical step was it to be sold to somebody else. And I'll get on to a brief history of Expandly after. So what we did is we went through a SWOT process, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, to really understand the business in a whole. So, it was struggling to identify its customer base. There was a lot of people that had similar software that was getting significant more investment in it to be able to take it to the next level and start scaling it, marketing it, and really getting it in the hands of new people. Where did it fit in the market? We wanted to understand where it currently fitted in the market, because we're doing a SWOT analysis of where it is today. The sales and marketing had dropped down. There wasn't a huge amount of sales and marketing happening, and it was starting to lose some cash, and that was what they wanted to erode going forwards. The development stopped, needed a massive upgrade for the software, and there was going to be a huge investment needed on that. But it did have some strong clients, a strong base, and a really good foundation with an epic team. Came with a great few people that run the system, that manage the system, and develop the system, that were going to come with, obviously, with the process. So people don't know how that works. When you acquire a business, something called 2P, which is basically when you acquire a business, you've got to take the people or you've got to make them redundant. There's a whole process around that. And I'm not going to cover that today, but you do need to be aware of that process. You can't just abandon the people within that business. So we did the SWOT analysis of where it was. We looked at the finances, and then what we did is we did a SWOT analysis of where we thought we could take it. So the first thing is that we had clients that could use it straight away. So we've got 2,000 clients that we've expanded, and actually a portion of those we would be able to put straight onto the software. So it's like, okay, well, how many of those can we put on the software? And we could take that software from, a small customer base and double or treble that within 3 months. So that was a strength. It also had really, really nice branding. The business is called Expandly. Global e-commerce experts globally expands brands. We typically expand brands from the US into Europe. And actually, global e-commerce experts is quite clunky. It's quite a clunky name. And actually, the Expandly name is much, much better. So one of the things that we're looking at, could we rebrand? How would we use the new brand? How do we merge the businesses together? What could that look like in the future? And we started thinking about how and why we would put all of this together to make it really, really work for everyone involved. And I think that when we started piecing together, okay, what does this Expandly do? What could it do, and where could we get it to in order to make it a success, was really what we started focusing on. So we were still in the negotiation phase and due diligence stage of understanding the software and what we could do with it. Now, during the due diligence stage, what you're looking for is making sure that the numbers are what people are saying the numbers are. You're finding solicitors that can agree heads of terms, they can agree contracts, start drawing those things up and start agreeing those. Now, what we tend to do is agree up front heads of terms of what that look like. So, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to buy the business for this much. This is what it would look like, and off we go. So that all started happening. We're doing due diligence, and we're really starting to get our head around how this software would work for us, what the name would mean to us, what the branding would mean to us. But obviously, we can start thinking about these things and about some of the synergies. But obviously, until you've got the acquisition over the line, a lot of that is secondary. You need to have an understanding of what you want to do with it after, and you need to make sure it's going to fit in with everything you're going to do. But actually, you need to be really focused on actually, is it right? Would it be a good fit? And can you get it over the line? Because we speak to a lot of people about acquiring their businesses, but actually getting them over the line can be difficult at times. And that could be sellers, that could be us. There could be a lot of different things that come into the mix in order to make those things work. So that's where we got to with Expandly. We agreed heads of terms, and then it took 6 months to get all the parties agreed, because there was a huge number of shareholders, because it had been backed, had private equity and VC type funding. There was lots of shareholders involved. There was lots of people that needed to be agreed. So what we did is we did an asset sale where we purchased the assets of the business. For those that are listening that are unsure on what that looks like, typically you've got two types of purchase. You've got a share purchase where you acquire the whole business, including the name, the limited entity, and everything that goes with it, and all the liabilities. Or you can buy the assets, which means you're taking the key parts of the business. In this example, we're taking the staff, we're taking the branding, we're taking the name, we're taking the software, but we're leaving essentially the business behind. And that was a really, really good way of us acquiring the business. And what it ultimately meant was that we went through that process. It took 6 months to do that piece, which is a really, really long time. Typically, it takes 2 to 3 months, but there were lots of complications along the way. So for anyone thinking about that expansion route, you got to think about, expanding acquisition route, you really need to think about, okay, how long is this realistically going to take? Probably double it. And I think that would be fair. So history of Expandly, it started some 12, 13 years ago. It was started by a gentleman who was a software developer and built an amazing initial tool that, as the e-commerce market started to build out, and we will try and get him on the podcast if we can, because I think that story would be fascinating. If you're listening, give me a shout and we'll get you on, because I think that's a really interesting story. Then what happened was then it went through a number of different hands, a number of different people, another different investment rounds, and so on. And ultimately that ended up with us. So what is Expandly 1.0? So Expandly is a listing management tool, inventory management tool. It's a VAT accounting tool. So it enables, if you're let's say a UK-based seller, which is its prime target market, it enables you to put all your inventory in one place. It then enables you to list that on multiple channels with one central point of sense, if you like, one central point of truth. So if you sell 3 items over here, the other marketplace over here knows that there's 3 less to sell. And that's really, really important, especially on high volume stock, because if you've only got 5 left in stock and you've sold 5 over here, the place over here needs to know, otherwise you're going out of stock and you get penalties from the marketplaces. So that was a really, really key part of what it did. It also, because it links in with those marketplaces, it can also it's got a link to Xero, which is accounting software, which means that you can put that traffic all the way through into Xero, so you can do your accounting from Xero as well. So there's a really, really nice benefit to inventory management, listing management, and your accounting all in one piece. And that for us was the really, really exciting part, because we focus on the compliance and the logistics, and that enabled the listing management. If you now start thinking about our compliance and our VAT registrations we do in Global E-commerce Experts, we've now got a tool to be able to start making that much simpler and much easier and much more effective for our clients. And coupled with all of this, we work through a objectives and key results process. So we religiously plan, we on objectives and key results, OKR, measure what matters. I don't know if I've got the book to hand. No, measure what matters is probably the ideal book to get your head around what that looks like. But if you start thinking about OKRs, one of our aspirational OKRs was to create a portal for our clients. So at the moment, our clients have got a portal for our ticket desk for support, and they've got a portal for our warehouse management system. And then anything else is a manualish process, I guess. We've got software in the background that does it, but there's no central portal that enables that to happen. So what we wanted was a portal that enabled those things to happen. And you can start to see where all these things start to come together of where we want to get to. So lessons learned from acquiring the business. One, don't underestimate a software business, the complexities and what it takes to develop the software. And we'll come on to that in future weeks. The second thing is if you look at, as you're acquiring a business, a large number of shareholders, you need to double at least the amount of time it's going to take in order to get it over the line. Depending on if you're just taking a portion of share or 100% shares, or you're buying the assets of the business. And I think that, again, that's really, really important, because when you're looking at that list, you need to start thinking about what that looks like. The analysis of the business probably fell into two categories: the business as it was and where we wanted to get it to. Now, we acquired it in July last year. It's currently February this year, and we're 2 months away from getting it to where we want to really ideally get it to. And I think that's really, really important. Now, with Expandly itself, it's an amazing tool. If you are a UK-based business and you're not using Expandly for inventory management and listing management, how you should be on that today. So go and sign up to that today. You can go and sign up, depending on if you want monthly or yearly, and 1 year contract, 2 years contracts, all those type of software type things. Then there's a process to go through, and it's much better value. It's a much better product, and you'll get a huge amount of benefit from it. What will also happen is you'll see it adapt and change as we go through the next couple of months, and be one of the first to start using it on the beta program that we're going to be rolling out very, very soon. So that leads me on to where we're going to take it and what's coming over the next few weeks. So I think this is really, really critical, because I want to make sure I'm giving you the right information. So hopefully you can hear me turning my pages to get to what it is. So next week, we're going to be doing a complete demo on Expandly 1.0. When I say complete, it won't be a complete demo you'd have on a one-to-one, but what I want to do is show you what it currently does, how effective it is, and what it can really, really fine-tune how it can really, really support and help you, because I think you'll get a huge amount from it. You've heard about how we've acquired it. I think next, very simply, you want to understand what it does. You know, what does it do? Now, after that, what we're going to do is go through a week-on-week process. I'll bring different people in to support me each week. So you won't need to get bored of hearing me talk. You'll get different people each week. So we'll talk about in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to talk about the OATS process. The OATS process is a process we go through once we've acquired a business to integrate it. Observe, assess, track, and shift. It gives us the ability to observe what's going on, assess, tracks what's happening through KPIs, and then if we need to shift the business in order to turn it around, make it a success, or leave as is. And different businesses, that is over a different time frame and everything else. So we'll talk through that process, which is really, really insightful. If you are someone who's acquiring businesses, you'll really enjoy that. After that, what we're going to lead into is where did we come up with this new portal idea? How did we come up with the ideas and the brain waves to think, okay, this is what we've currently got, and this is where we want to get to? What does that look like, and how are we going to do that to give that new portal vision, so you can start thinking to yourself, I get that. Okay, how am I going to use that? Could I use that? And that portal will come on to the idea, the concept. And then I'm going to go through a whole process of the realization we're now a software company and how we're going to change and adapt from that. Appointing a software team. My trip to South Africa to meet the software team and what that looked like. That was an amazing experience as well, by the way. And I can't wait to talk about that, because that was just epic. I may even see if I can try and share some of the videos while I'm going through that. Then we'll talk about how we're planning it out, what that looks like, what 2.0 actually looks like today, and the changes we're making. And then we'll go through a few other bits of the hurdles, the lessons learned, and ultimately what we're going to end up with is the launch of the new software, which I'd love you to join us on. So thank you very much for joining me. My name's Andy Hooper. The link to join the waiting list for Expandly 2.0, You're not going to want to miss this. This is going to be an amazing piece of software that anybody that wants to expand their business is going to need. If you are an online seller, you are an e-commerce marketplace seller, you're a web shop seller, this is going to be game-changing software for you outside of anything else that is currently there. Nothing is going to be nothing out there that does what we do unless you're a multi-million pound business, you're a $1 billion business, and you're working with someone that's got all of this stuff in-house, so to speak. Because for SMEs, you want the ability to be able to get dialed in. You want to be able to compete with the big boys at a much smaller fraction of the cost, utilizing software and AI to be able to develop that for you and make that easier. And I cannot wait to share the story as we go through the next few weeks and share the changes we're making, the adaptations we're making, and everything else that's going on. So really, really excited. Hopefully you'll get a change of scenery next time, but there's no guarantees for that. We'll see how we go on. Apart from that, I truly am grateful for you spending your time with me. I know it's precious, and I want to make sure that you're getting the value from this, and I want to make sure that you're getting all the things I learned from. If you're a business owner, how do you grow and scale your business? And acquisition is just one of those options once you see that organic traffic starting to slow. So how do you build and grow a business? How do you scale a business? And this is going to come in a couple of different phases. This is really about giving you the excitement for Expandly 2.0. That's ultimately what it's about. But it's also an entrepreneur's journey through acquisition, process, learning, education, and everything else that goes along that. I'm looking forward to sharing the ride with you in the journey. My name's Andy Hooper. If you want to reach out, you can get me at LinkedIn. It's probably the best place. Just don't Google in LinkedIn, do you? Just search on LinkedIn, Andy Hooper, and something will come up. I'm the go-to e-commerce guy and the person that's acquiring businesses. So get in touch if you want to learn more. Expandly is a great opportunity, and I can't wait to share it with you. Thanks very much, and I'll see you on the next episode next Wednesday at 4:30. Thank you very much.